So I'm getting ready to resurrect the Phoenix, the Project Phoenix build. I've kind of put that on the back burner since I had Dies 86 in the shop and we're doing those coin mods. I've put the Phoenix, pushed it out, and it sat outside in the weather. So I'm fixing a pickup, working on it, and get it back, well, hopefully on the road. So I had it registered before I parked it, but it's been, since I parked it, I pulled out the old Iron 305 that was in it, and it's been in here for easily over a year. So the what do you call it, inspection and the registration has expired on it. So I'm happy to get this thing back on the road. I think what would be a good thing to do, since it's been a while, is kind of update where we're at currently on the car, and I'll give you a quick rundown, and we'll take a look from underneath, and we'll also take a look from the top side so you can see both and kind of get an idea of what's going on. So here she is. She's up on the lift, and grab a flashlight. And what we've done so far is we pulled out, like I said, the old iron. It had an old Iron 305 in it. It was so the car's only got 50, I think it's like 58,000 miles on it. The lift, or the engine was fine and it ran, but it would just leak oil. Like every gasket that was on the engine had just rotted away. So it was just like, it was just jizz oil all over the fucking place. And that may be what kept it alive so well, preserved it so well, was the oil that was underneath the car. But the problem was you drive at freeway speeds and it wasn't hot enough, like there was enough wind moving through the engine bay. They would keep the oil fine, and then once you got in traffic, all the stuff that was on the exhaust pipes and whatever would start burning off, and it would look like Sanford and Son, if you're old enough to know what that is. So that 305 came out, and we left the same drivetrain in it. So it's a turbo 350. It's got the Jegs cheap converter in it and the stock rear axle. So I know that that's going to have to be addressed at some point, but at this point I'm just kind of pushing it off. If I can get this thing on the road, even with the shitty, it's like geared super high, it's got to be like a 2 something gear, like a 2.5 something, I would guess, because it would go about 1,000,000 miles an hour. it would barely rev, and you're just moving. So anyway, I know I have to address the drivetrain, but right now we're just getting it back together. It's got a L33 block, an all aluminum 5.3 underneath here. That on this side is, I think, CTSV style header, and over here we built the exhaust, so it just comes down off of this guy and drops underneath and comes over, and then back up where it meets the one we built. So it's got a little bit rusted, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm trying to keep the column shifter going on, so that's this linkage you see right here. I'm pretty sure I can snake underneath the underneath this V-band and just route the exhaust out the back. So I have to do the exhaust. I have to finish running the oil return for the turbo, and I gotta get all the wires plugged up, and I gotta finish the cooling system. So underneath here, this guy, I have one of these like ones that will turn down, so it'll just zoom straight, and it's like right in line here. So if I can put that on there, run that, I'm gonna do something about these heater hose lines. Probably put like a 45, so they just shoot forward a little bit past that upper control arm. Then they'll be good. We've already handled the intercooler, and it's just coming down right here where it's sitting. The turbo's sitting right up there, so the intercooler piping's already done and plumbed and going back up, so you can see that right there. And I think that's about it. Oh yeah, we did the fuel systems handled well. So we got I got 3 -10 bungs on the back of that, and that is, I think it's 5/8 inch line So it's going up there. I got an AEM like Matt Happel told me to do, because I watched his videos. I didn't even have to ask. And then it's going to hardline, and the hardline goes all the way up to the front, and we're going to use the old 3/8 line for the return. So that shouldn't be too big of an issue. Oh, and I have to mount the oil cooler, because I've clipped those lines, because I was originally trying to keep the old lines in the radiator. But that was just it just wasn't happening. So I clipped those out, and I got a oil cooler. So all the stuff I talked about, I have. So if I said I got to do it, then it's here and it's been sitting, because that's how I do. I roll like that. I hoard shit until I absolutely run out of excuses, and I absolutely have to finish the project, or I'll guilt myself into doing it, or shame myself into doing it, because you're like, dude, you've done shopped for everything, and you got everything, and then some, so get to it. And that's where I'm at right now, is at the point where we just need to get to it, get it done, knock out the fine details. All the fabrication, most of the fabrication's been done. So I'll drop the car down, take a look from the top. Sorry about that buzz in the background. That's my Volvo. It's on a thermo switch, which will be relevant here in a second. So here's the top of the Phoenix. She's a beaut. Look at those hubcaps, man. We'll try to do something about retaining these guys. The only thing that sucks is our 14 inch instead of 15. If it was 15, it'd just be like crazy easy. But they're 14, so it makes it a little more difficult. I want to run a 275 out back, and there's like plenty of wheel well there. So yeah, fitting the tires, I don't think it'd be a problem. Problem be just getting the right rims. If I can get that in the inside. It's this nice brown plastic and vinyl interior, and it's cloth seats. It's a bench, and it's in really good repair. It's got the old cardboard in the back with the cutouts for the 6x9s, the Kraken 6x9s, or Krakow, or whatever they were called. And I tore out most of this dash. I was trying to fix something to do with the heating system. Come to find out that it's actually, what I was looking for was behind. You have to take the fender off, and the blower motor's back there. But I found some couplers that were off on the AC, so I was able to fix that. And I ran the harness way down there. I think you can see that. It's the harness for the gold box. I have the EFI source gold box that's going to be going in here. And here's the underhood scoop, what we got going on. It's the same engine. It's still an L33. So here's the fuel coming out. It'll go to the fuel road. I got a little adapter. It might be overkill, but that's alright. Better to have too much fuel than not enough. And over here we made a custom header. I'll grab my flashlight. Once again, it's awesome when so we made a kind of a custom kind of header on this side, tubular deal. And it just joins up. It's 2 1/4 inch, and it just joins up with the 2-inch pipe from the other side on the crossover, and comes here to the turbo, which is all rusty now that I left it sitting outside. And it goes the down pipe, zooms out, and we already got the O2 sensor bung welded in and everything. And here's the turbo, and it is braced. I made this nice little stainless steel bracing here that is one of my turbo flanges that has the extra support on it, so you can lock it in, and it is welded to a little tab I made that is right on the side of the alternator stand, so it's nice and tight on there. I got the wrong spark plugs because I don't know. Or the wrong spark plug wires. I got LS3 wires, and they're too short for these coil packs on these valve covers, which is stupid, but whatever. We've done the adapter for the power steering is all set up. I just need to do a little bit of welding on one of the tubes back there that was extra. We need to run the wires or the oil lines for the turbo. I think this has water. Good, it doesn't have water. And let's see, we made a nice fan shroud for this guy. Come over here. Maybe put a big 16-inch spall fan on it. I'm going to use a thermo switch on this radiator tube that we made. I like those thermo switches. I don't know how I'll totally end up doing it. I might end up running it with the gold box and using thermo switch as a backup, or vice versa. I'm not smart enough to know yet, but I figure I'll figure it out. And let's see what else is going on. We got the air conditioner. That's all going to be ran, but I'm going to take it to a shop to do that since I don't know anything about air conditioning. It's just mounted. I got to put the fuel injectors in. Like I said, I got to run the wiring harness. And that's, I think, about it from this side. So that brings you up to date on the, oh, I got a race pack too. So I was worried about the gauges, like how it was going to work out, but I think I'm just going to leave the stock ones in there, do my best to wire them up. The bad thing is it didn't have like a tachometer on it. If it had a tacho, I just would have rocked it. But where there should be a tachometer on that big gauge on the left, all is just a big thing in there that just says Pontiac. Just to let you know you've really arrived in life. So I'll probably just 3D print a holder to fit in the dash for the race pack. It came with the cable that will already just plug right into the MS Gold box, which is on a CAN system. So that's a cool deal. And that should round it out. So that brings you up to date on where we stand with the Phoenix. And today's project is we need to take this tube that we built for the radiator, and we need to add a port for the steam port somewhere. We need to figure out what's best for that, and we need to figure out we got to cut this radiator down a bit, this plastic guy, and we need to figure out where we're going to put the bung for the thermocoupler. Yeah. So what we got to do is take this tube that we made for the coolant, the upper coolant hose, and what I'd like to do is weld a bung in. I see the steam port is right over here, so I'll probably put a bung in over here somewhere, so we can just put like maybe a 90, maybe a 1/8 inch NTP 90, and just zoom it that way with a barb on it and hook it right into this hose. And then I'll probably put a thermo switch somewhere over here. I'm debating about cutting this thing in half. So one of my friends who is a smarter and better fabricator than me saw me make this upper hose, and he said, Mike, it's probably going to break due to vibrations between the engine and the chassis, which makes perfect sense after the fact. But, so my thoughts were originally, let's see if I got to put this on. There we go. So originally my thought was maybe I could run a couple hump hoses and that would take up the vibration, but these guys are like crazy thick, and there's not a lot of give to them, so I'm not totally sure if that's going to work or not either. So at the end of my radiator, there's like this weird step down thing that is too small and sticks out too far, so I need to get rid of this so the hose I made out of aluminum will fit in here better. So I'm just gonna cut that off right there. We're gonna mod it. Hooray. But we should do better. Low benefit now. Yeah, man. This, what are you? Oh, you're the air conditioner. So that fits Mo better now. All right. Yes, yes. Okay, good. So let's get my hose cut. The easiest way to cut these hoses, honestly, is on the bandsaw. Let's make it like. Let's measure. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and measure once and cut twice. Or maybe we'll measure it twice and cut once. I don't know. Measuring once and cutting twice is a solid strategy. It's just a little more costly. So one and 3/4. All you have to do is just buy twice as much. Who doesn't like that? Did I say the easiest way to cut these is on a belt sander? That'd be retarded. If I did, I meant to say bandsaw. Because it'd be stupid to try to cut this on a belt sander. But on a bandsaw, well, that would work just fucking tits. That might be more better. Bought some D-clips to put on this thing. Don't know if they'll work or not. So when I bought them, I was kind of thinking maybe you could stick these on here in a couple spots. And maybe kind of secure this to the shroud. Can I do that? It's a tough reach right here. Alright, so we cut that guy off of the radiator. And we made a couple that will fit for it. And then we're going to put the hump hose here. And we're going to hope that that's enough to eat the vibrations. And then I think what we'll do is we'll take this D-clip and we'll kind of just stick it right there. And that will keep our tube nice and secure in place and away from the wastegate. The biggest problem with taking forever to finish your car isn't the actual finishing your car part. The problem is trying to find all the parts you bought and where you stashed them at. So the other part that sucks is that you forget shit. So I bought the thermocoupler, which it says 180 on there, so that's easy to figure out. But I also bought a thermostat, and it just says Moto Rad on it. And I have no idea what this thing is sprung for, so that'll be interesting. Guess we'll figure it out once we get in there, right? So this guy is 1/8, and the other one's 1/8, so that's easy. I think I got 1/8. So if we put a bung, let's see, we do it, put it right on there. Well, I think I'll just stick them like kind of in pair right on this side here. You know, the fan belt's kind of by there, but not terribly so. And what I can do is just use that line on the steam vent, just kind of zip tie it to this tube itself. So actually what I'll probably do is I'll just stick it on the corner, and that way I'll just be able to run a straight barb going out. Should probably tack this guy down so I'm no longer messing with that. Okay, so I'm gonna try to hold myself to the 20-minute rule around there, and I literally am sitting in front of like 2.5 hours of video, and I don't think anybody wants to sit here that long. So we'll just try to chop it up, maybe do like updates more often, and just give little bits and pieces as we continue to get this old Phoenix back together and let it rise from the flames. Like the myth, like it's lore of old. So thanks you guys for dropping by, checking out the channel, and we'll call this one a night. And be sure to check out the Monkey Fab store if you do have time. Thanks.